Greetings, folks. Now, this video is going to be a little different than my average video. It's more of an, I guess you can call it an explanation. Now, I've been accused by some, especially my wife, for being a bit OCD. I'm very particular. For example, it could take a couple of days for me to make a 5-minute long video. I gotta get it just right. It's just the way I am. So you can imagine my frustration when I discovered a misspelled or misused word in the title of my last video. And even though I corrected it on my end right away, well, others could still see the fuck up, and YouTube sometimes takes days to show the correction on the thumbnails, so I just put that video on private. Now, this might be kind of a good thing because it now allows me, I guess you could say, to clear up some things after reading comments on that last video. Clear up some points I made. Now, for one, even though I use the vehicle I call sinisterism on the path, I'm still a Satanist as codified by Anton LaVey. This is because I was born a Satanist. It's who I am by nature. It's like being an introvert or an extrovert. It's a characteristic. It's a part of my being. And because of this, I feel I have every right to be frustrated with modern Satanism. When you Google Satanism, the two groups you get are the Church of Satan and the Satanic Temple. Now, I'll start with the Church of Satan. What's Gilmore doing with that group? I'm not saying they should go out and march or erect statues or anything like that, but they should have a greater presence online. The Satanic Temple should not be the first thing I see when I look up Satanism on YouTube. It should be the Church of Satan. Think about it. I can only imagine the writings and archival footage they have of LaVey. And they got some big brains and productive individuals in that organization. The COS should be all over the internet. But I think they have a Twitter account. Now, the Satanic Temple. If you haven't figured it out already, they're the ones I refer to as right-hand path Satanists. I know a lot of you say they're not real Satanists, but they are, because no one owns the copyright on the word Satanist. And basically, Satan is free to be interpreted any way you wish, really. But their Satanism is not, and I repeat, not from a left-hand path perspective, even though they're political leftists. And I've brought this up before. The political left and the left-hand path have no connection. Doesn't mean that you can't be on the left-hand path and be a political leftist. You can. But the words have, or the phrases have, two different origins. The left-hand path stems from Hinduism, and it's about reversing the natural right-hand flow of energy from the right to the left. And leftist politics comes from the French Revolution, when in their assembly hall, the liberals sat on the left, the conservatives sat on the right. But I digress. Now Lucien Greaves, the man behind the Satanic Temple, I actually like the guy, and I get what he's doing. Now, back about 5 or 6 years ago, the Sect of the Horn God, along with Satanic International and the Satanic Temple, had multiple Skype meetings. We talked for hours. But The organization, the Satanic Temple, is not left-hand path because their focus is on the collective and not the individual. They care about what's going on in the herd. And the left-hand path is all about strengthening the individual and saying, fuck you to the herd. Now, like other groups, the Satanic Temple has its chapters, and a few of these chapters have splintered because TST wasn't progressive enough for them. They weren't radical enough for these people. This is one of the main reasons why the sect doesn't have chapters. For one, I see them as unnecessary because of the internet, and also we're more like a university than a church. We supply the info and it's up to you to work with it. Now, with these new groups added into the mix, Satanism is watered down even more. And this is why I think the Church of Satan, the Church of Satan should have more of a presence to counter this warped interpretation of Satanism. Not by reacting to these groups. The Church of Satan shouldn't even acknowledge their existence. But the Church of Satan, the house that LeRoy built, should be at the top of the heap, the preeminent satanic organization. But they're not. Oh well. Back about 6-7 years ago, I coined the term Satanic Reformation because I saw modern parallels with the Christian Reformation. Now, back before the 16th century, if you were a Christian in Western Europe, you were most likely a Catholic. But with the invention of the printing press, the common people didn't need the priest to read them the Bible anymore. And they didn't need him to be that conduit to God. If a person could read, they could get a copy of the Bible themselves and interpret it in their own personal fashion. Thus, new faiths, new ways of looking at Christianity emerged, separate from the Catholic Church. And if you know anything about history, for centuries after, Europe was a fucking mess because of it. Well, today we have the internet instead of the printing press, and the same thing is kind of happening with Satanism. It's a fucking mess, and it's a shame because it doesn't have to be.